Welcome to another No BS review, where there will be no filler or BS of any kind, just the information you want to know about this vehicle. Thank you to my members for helping support this content. On today's installment, we'll be looking at the CLOVIS, a rank 5 battle rating 8.0 light tank in both the German and French tech trees. Both are identical, but the German version comes in a pack costing $50 and including 2,000 Golden Eagles and 15 days of premium, while the French one can be purchased in-game for 8,380 Golden Eagles. Being a light tank, the CLOVIS doesn't have very thick armor. The frontal arc does have a lot of very extreme angles though, so you might be able to occasionally bounce some shots. If you encounter this thing, your best bet is to fire at the flattest part you can hit. From the side, the protection is sub 30 millimeters. However, the side skirts and structural steel boxes can be a bit trolly when it comes to shape charges. So the protection may not look very good overall, but the external armor doesn't really tell the full story. Looking at the CLOVIS's internal modules, the layout of the transmission, engine, internal RHA, and the solid front of the turret basket results in basically the entire front half of the tank acting as one giant multi-layered block of spaced armor. This means that, in practice, despite being a thinly armored light tank on paper, the CLOVIS actually tends to be significantly more survivable than many of the more heavily armored main battle tanks at its BR, such as the Leopard 1, the T-54, and the AMX-30. APHE and HEAT-FS shells are particularly well countered by this armor layout, and APDS will see its fall significantly diminished upon reaching the crew compartment. If in a defensive situation, I'd advise you to angle the right front corner of your vehicle towards the enemy, as this will provide the greatest possible protection for your crew and shield your driver behind the engine and transmission. Additionally, you have quite a bit of dead space in the rear of the vehicle, which can also be useful for helping to soak up damage. Not only is the CLOVIS's survivability surprisingly decent, but its firepower is absolutely exceptional for the battle rating. For its main armament, the CLOVIS features an auto-loading 105mm cannon, with its main shell, the OCC-105, being able to penetrate 400mm of RHA at any distance. This autoloader cuts down the reload time to only 5 seconds. It also features a secondary coaxial 20mm cannon with a maximum flat pen of 57mm. Perhaps most interestingly though, the CLOVIS features a laser rangefinder, which gives it an enormous advantage in terms of long-range gunnery over most of its competition. This laser rangefinder is especially useful due to the relatively low 800 meter per second velocity of its main gun, since by using binoculars, it can actually fire over cover. The only real negative is that this vehicle has an unusually high amount of wobble when braking, so it can take a bit longer for your gun to get onto target when coming to a stop. In terms of gun handling though, the turret features a very respectable 8 degrees of gun depression and a quite fast turret traverse of 36 degrees per second. In case you thought maybe they would balance out the CLOVIS's survivability and firepower by nerfing its mobility in some way, you'd be wrong. The CLOVIS can travel 46 miles per hour both forward and in reverse, and has quite a respectable 24 horsepower per ton power-to-weight ratio. Both the German and the French trees have more 8.0 and 7.7 vehicles than I could possibly reasonably list here. However, the French don't really have any good second spawn or SPAA options, whereas the Germans have a very strong 1-2-3 combo, starting out with the CLOVIS and followed up by the Marder 1A3 and the PZH 2000, both of the latter options being able to pull double duty against both ground targets and aircraft. Neither tech tree has any CAS options that I would consider to be good enough to be worth noting here. In both tech trees though, the CLOVIS would probably be my preferred first spawn in just about every situation, since, like I said, both its survivability and firepower are superior even to many of the MBTs at its BR. I'll also mention it's rather strange that the DF-105 is still at the same BR as this thing, since it shares the same chassis and main gun, but has worse gun depression, no 20mm coaxial, and no laser rangefinder, but hey, premium bias I guess. As you might expect, given its specifications, there's basically no strategy you can't employ with this vehicle and be successful at. You can flank, you can snipe, you can brawl, and hell, with a 20mm you can even pick off some low-flying aircraft too. Just be aware that in up tiers, dart rounds are going to be particularly dangerous to you since they can deal with your spaced armor layout far better than APDS, HEAT, or APHE. It's been a long time since I've found a vehicle I would say this about, but I would describe the CLOVIS as being very nearly perfect. Really, the only serious problems I would identify are the bad brake wobble and the inherent unreliability of shape charge warheads, but I think this vehicle excels in enough other areas to make up for these weaknesses. Also, because it's a light tank and gets scouting, this vehicle earns a ton of extra points in the form of assists, making it very much a nuke printer. My Discord members will know I'm not exaggerating when I say I found myself getting about 1 nuke per hour of gameplay in this thing. It's genuinely that good. My overall rating, 9.5 out of 10, with the only things keeping it back from a perfect score being that its lineups lack a bit in certain categories and the inherent drawbacks of heat shells. Otherwise, I have absolutely no complaints about this vehicle and cannot recommend it highly enough. I would go as far as to say that if you're thinking about grinding out either the German or the French tech trees and you aren't dead set on rushing right to top tier, this is a very strong contender for being your absolute best pick in terms of premium vehicles for the entire tech tree. That's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the playlist in the description for more vehicle reviews like this one, and I'll see you guys next time.